Hi guys, I am back after having spent 2 amazing weeks in California with my girlfriend Ava. To be completely honest, I am jet lagged as all heck and missing Ava something fierce, enough so that it's difficult for me to focus on anything else. But having said that, it is time for me to get back to refitting Athena. The astute might have noted the elevated water level, which seems to be a reoccurring theme here in the yard every winter. The afternoon before I left for LA, Athena got moved out of the workshop, and I am pleasantly surprised to see that the tarp, as well as the wooden boxes covering the hatch openings, are all still in place. After having spent a couple of weeks in nice sunny weather, it feels pretty dang cold here in Denmark, so why don't we hurry down below and get some heat going. Oh, heat, damn you, heat! Now before anybody calls me out on it in the comments, of course 3 degrees Celsius is not that cold. It's just, to me, it feels really cold after having spent a couple of weeks in nice sunny weather. Here inside the boat, everything seems to be, well, exactly how I left it. The tarp covering up the openings for the port lights is still nice and taut, and the tape is still on there. There are no obvious signs of leaks, so yay! It is awfully dark here in the forward cabin, and that of course is because of the boxes covering up the hatch openings. But in this video and the coming couple of videos, we are gonna remedy that situation. By that, of course, I mean putting in the new hatches. But before I can do that, I do need to trim and seal up the hatch openings. Most of you watching this video are probably aware that over the course of the summer, I've replaced the entire core in the deck. So what you're looking at here is all brand spanking new. The construction of the 3 hatch openings are identical. They're each made out of an 18mm piece of plywood and then 3 mahogany slats that are about 4 centimeters wide on top of that plywood. Everything is glued together with thickened epoxy, and it is rock solid. Fortunately, there is not a whole lot of work left to be done on the hatch openings. The first step is going to be to clean them up, which means removing this little lip of excess fiberglass here and giving them a light sanding. I think the easiest way for me to remove the excess fiberglass is going to be with my router, but for that to work I do need a flat surface here, so I need to clean up this old caulking here. Well, I'm simply just gonna pretend that this is freshly fallen snow. So Merry Christmas, guys. That got rid of the excess fiberglass. Now I want to sand the hatch opening so that it's nice and smooth. For me to be able to do that, I do need to remove the little screws I've used to secure the wooden box that's covering up the hatch openings. I've sanded the hatch opening nice and smooth. There are some gaps, for instance over here and over here, that I could fill and make it look prettier, but I don't want to do that just yet. In a couple of my previous videos, I've shown you guys the Vetus hatches I'm going to be mounting up on deck. Vetus also offers a trim kit for the hatches, and I'm considering using that trim kit just to save myself a little bit of time. Unfortunately, even though I ordered the trim kit about a week ago while still sitting in sunny California, it is yet to show up. And that is annoying because that leaves me with one of those hellishly annoying weekends where there's not really a lot for me to do here aboard Athena. You guys know I love working here aboard Athena, but doing a ton of extra work to pretty up the inside of those hatch openings, if those are just gonna get covered up by a trim kit, seems, well, just a little bit silly. That of course leaves me with the question, what the heck should I do with this video? I would love for me to be able to publish a video tomorrow, seeing as I didn't publish one last weekend, and I would also like for you guys to know that I'm safe and sound back in the frigid wasteland that is Denmark during the winter. Good morning, guys. It is Sunday morning. Yesterday, I'd almost resigned myself to the fact that I wouldn't be able to publish a video later today, but then, very late in the afternoon, I got a text message. That text message was to let me know that there was a package waiting for me at the local petrol station. We don't normally get packages delivered on Saturdays, so this was a very pleasant surprise. Let's head up and check out what's inside of it. The astute might have noted a slight change in the scenery from yesterday. We've had the first bit of snow this winter over the night, and it is an absolutely beautiful morning. I did kind of give the contents of this package away yesterday, but let's go ahead and get it opened. My, it's my favorite kind of package. A package that contains other packages. This we'll get back to a little later in the video. This should be the last of the 3 new hatches for the deck, and then this should be the trim kit I mentioned yesterday. Let's start with the least exciting of the 3, the hatch. And that's the least exciting because I've already shown you a hatch 100% identical to this one. I might just be a tiny bit paranoid here, but this is the box for the other hatch I've got that this one should be identical to, and I can't help but notice that the boxes are different, so let's just check. Well, they look absolutely identical. Awesome. Now, let's take a look at that trim kit. I've only ordered one of these, and that's because I'm not 100% sure I want to use the trim kit, but we'll soon find out. The information available on Vetus's website regarding these trim kits is basically non-existent, or at least I wasn't able to find it. So I've just ordered this one, mainly just to check out what it's like to see if it's something I want to use. Well, to be quite honest, there are 2 ways of describing this trim kit. One would be to say that it's optimized for racing. Another one would be to say that it's light, flimsy, and feels very cheaply made. The 2 hinges up here are misaligned. They're crooked, and the color of this doesn't match the flange. And yeah, they look super cheap. The hinges are holding up one side of this screen. On the other side of the screen are these 2 little tabs that are holding up this side. But these 2 hinges are also misaligned. If we start by taking a look at this little guy over here, flipping him this way won't allow the screen to open. Flipping him the other way will allow the screen to open, and there's plenty of room in here, so they could have moved this over just a few more millimeters to allow this to be opened in either direction. I've turned this guy to the open position, and then, see, this will open the screen, but also this will allow the screen to open. Besides the fact that the tabs and the hinges are misaligned, there's also this kind of weird wavy defect in the plastic. I think that might be from the mold, but nevertheless it just looks weird and kind of sloppy. I've only just pulled this out of its packaging about a minute ago, and look at this, there are little green scuff marks all over it, like for instance here, over here, and also right here. Like I started out saying, just the feel of this is just flimsy and cheaply made. I guess if you need this to conform to some kind of shape, it's good that it's flexible, but considering what I paid for this thing, I gotta be honest, it feels kind of like I'm being ripped off. I'm sure someone out there in internet land right now is screaming at their TV going, "Jesus, man, stop being such a douche, it's just a piece of trim kit." Well, this piece of trim kit was over $100. When paying over $100 for this thing, the very least I could do was to make sure that the hinges and the tabs weren't misaligned. This thing feels more like a prototype than a final product. and it in no way feels like a product that should be over $100. Let's just go ahead and see what this would look like in place, because using this trim kit would save me a fair bit of time. Seeing it like this, it kind of looks okay, I guess. I mean, if I hadn't seen the hinges up close, I'd probably not be able to notice that they were misaligned. And yeah, what do you guys think? Is this an acceptable solution? I think I'm gonna pop out one of those YouTube voting cards and give you guys a chance to give me some feedback on this. I've gone ahead and put the frame for the hatch in place, and I've done that because I want to check if this piece of the trim kit is tall enough that it'll actually reach up underneath the frame with the spacer that'll go here and also the headliner. Okay, so far it looks okay, but I have to lower the frame kit by 15 millimeters to allow for the 12 millimeter spacer that's going to be between the bottom of the deck and the headliner, and also the headliner is 3 millimeters thick, so I need to leave a gap up here of 15 millimeters. Yeah, this is not gonna work out. There's gonna be a gap between the trim kit and the frame up here, and I don't want that, so I can't use the trim kit. To be honest, even though those trim kits are horribly overpriced, I was kind of hoping I'd be able to use them because that would have saved me a lot of time, but I can't. The deck is simply just too thick. So I guess we're gonna have to take the scenic route. By scenic route, I mean I'm gonna have to pretty up the hatch openings without relying on the shortcut, that is the trim kit. I've got an idea of how I could do this, but I'd love to get your guys' opinion. So this is a cross-section of one of the hatch openings. Here is the plywood I showed you earlier in the video, and here are the 3 mahogany slats that sit on top of the plywood. This is the spacer I mentioned just a minute ago, and this down here is the headliner. So what I could do was simply just to clean up this face here, fair it and make it look nice, and paint it, and then of course the frame for the hatch would sit up here. Something like that. This is the aluminum frame from one of the hatches. That's the little doohickey I've drawn up here. Now, no matter how careful I'm going to be fairing the face of the hatch opening, I'm not going to be able to have a perfect snug fit between the hatch opening and this frame. More than likely, there is going to be a little bit of a gap. I could either just live with this solution, although if I did that, I'd probably want to pretty up this part down here so that I'm also fairing the spacer here and maybe rounding over this corner down here. I think that would look decent, except when looking up through the hatch opening so that you might be able to see this gap up here. But I could also leave it like this, meaning not clean up this part down here, and simply just add some teak or mahogany trim to this, sort of something like this. That solution would be kind of similar to the one that's here in the saloon, where there's this piece of trim that's covering up the gap that's hiding up here. I would love to hear how you guys would approach the hatch opening conundrum. If you've got a suggestion, please go ahead and leave it as a comment down below, because I am itching to get started on these hatch openings. There was one other item in the package I opened a few minutes ago that I told you we'd get back to a little later in the video, and that was this doohickey. This is one of those siphon thingies. This is the slightly bigger model that I've been using for a year, and they are pretty awesome. They're quite simple, reliable, and easy to use. Inside of this metal bit that's at the end of the hose, there's a little marble, and that marble jumps up and down when you jiggle the hose. The illustrations on the packaging quite clearly illustrates what this thing is meant to do. It's meant to transfer fluid from one container to another container without you having the need to play the game of, is this diesel I'm tasting? You should pay very close attention to the middle part of this illustration, where it says that the container you want to empty out needs to be higher than the other container, the container you want to transfer the fluid into. I mistakenly thought that my diesel tank was located higher than the cabin sole. I've just had a look in there and it's not. It's perfectly level with the cabin sole. So yeah, my plan was to use this to empty out my diesel tank, but that's not gonna work. So I think what I'll do is I'll get my hands on an electric diesel pump, and then in the next video I'll start emptying out the diesel tank. I'm still glad I've ordered this thing, because for the last year I've been using this thing to transfer kerosene into the small tank in my heater, and it is a little aggressive, this thing. I mean, this will transfer a lot of fluid very quickly, so you have to pay very close attention. This is a slightly smaller model that should be more manageable. Oh, and if you're wondering why I want to empty out my diesel tank, this is why. There's a link in the description to a video where I go over the upcoming projects for this winter. I'm still quite jet lagged, and I think the warm weather in Los Angeles might have broken me. It's 13 degrees Celsius here inside the boat, and I am literally shivering. All I want to do is call it quits for today, head back to Obelix and snuggle up with a pizza and some sci-fi. But before I do that, there are a couple of things I want to mention. First up, and this is a very early warning, in late March I'm going back to LA to see my girlfriend again, and while I'm there I want to carve out an afternoon for a meetup so that I can get to hang out with some of you guys. So if you're in LA or somewhere close in late March, just keep that in mind. Over the coming weeks I'm gonna add more details like dates and possibly a location, but yeah, just for now keep that in mind. The second and final thing I want to mention before ending this video is t-shirts. These two t-shirts I've been wearing for years, so if they look a little worn and there are a few dog hairs on them, that is simply why. Please note that there are two web shops. There's one that's located in the US and one that's located in Europe. Depending on your location, you want to choose the correct one so that you don't get hit by import tax and high shipping costs. So, if you're located in the US, choose the US store. If you're located in Europe, choose the EU store. The two web shops have the exact same stuff in them. If you're interested, there are links for both of the web shops down below. If you're not located within the US or Europe, please just go ahead and leave a comment down below and I'll see what I can do. Okay guys, I am freezing my butt off here. I want to head back to Obelix and warm back up. So yeah, next weekend's video is going to be a lot more action-packed, I promise. But that is going to be it for this video. As always, feel free to leave a comment down below, and don't forget, if you've enjoyed this video, remember to leave a like. See you!